Hello, worship team. This is your rehearsal video for Sunday, June 16th, 2024. Hope you guys are having a great start to your week. It's the week of VBS and Fuel, and I trust many of you are serving this week and putting in some extra time to invest in the next generation. And let me just say I'm very grateful for that. I know many of you are plugged into some of the groups and some of the small group times that are happening, and some of you are serving in the band and the production team, and to all of you, I thank you. So let's jump in here. I want to walk through what this weekend's service is going to look like. Of course, with midweek activities happening, that will affect our midweek vocal rehearsal, so I want to discuss that as well. And then we've got some new things here in the service that I want to make sure are on your radar. So without further ado, let's jump right in here and get started. To begin with, we are going to introduce kind of a new song from our summer song list, though it's going to be quite familiar, I think, to most. It's an arrangement of How Great Thou Art that has a tag, has like an extra verse tag at the end called Until That Day. The How Great Thou Art part should be pretty familiar to most. The Until That Day will probably be new for a lot of folks. Anyway, that is going to be our pre-service song for this weekend, and one that we're just going to put before the congregation so they can start to hear it and get a feel for what that's going to sound like. In Planning Center, you'll find a chord chart and rehearsal track for this, and you'll also find the lead sheet. I want to go over to my iPad here and take a look at the lead sheet and kind of walk through what this is going to look like, because it's going to be pretty different than some of the things that we normally do. So here on my iPad, as you can see, I've got the annotations brought up. And just a reminder for those of you vocalists who are using annotations every week, just a reminder, how you load this up is you tap anywhere on your screen, and there will be a menu bar that drops down. Just hit the drop down arrow there in the middle of the screen, go to the file section, and select the file that says lead sheet SAT. That'll be the same for all the songs this weekend. And then to get my annotations, just go back into that menu, and where it says annotator, your name, it'll say my annotations in your sheet there, but you'll see my name listed there in that drop down. Just select my name, and all of these annotations should come up. Now, sometimes Planning Center is kind of funky, and you gotta, back out. You kind of have to go back out like this and hit refresh, and then it'll oftentimes bring it up there. But anyway, that's how you get those. So here at the beginning on this lead sheet for How Great Thou Art, it will start with the male lead, which is Chris this weekend, singing that first phrase, and the female lead, which is Sheila for this weekend, will sing the second half of the verse. Then when we get to the chorus, male and female will sing harmony. So male will sing lead and female will sing harmony. And you can see how that, like the first, then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee, that's in harmony. And then this is unison, how great thou art, so on and so forth. I think that all makes sense. Then here for verse 2, the female lead will pick up and carry through to the chorus. Then there's an instrumental section. It'll drop back down. Male lead is back in. Female lead, and then male and female together. The other vocalist, I believe Elizabeth's the other vocalist for this weekend. Yes, that's correct. Elizabeth is the other vocalist for this weekend. And so Elizabeth, any of these sections where you see highlighted, you can feel free to sing in those sections as well. Anything that's underlined will just be the lead vocalist in those sections. So it's pretty straightforward after that. Like I said, verse 4 is the new verse, Until That Day When Heaven Bids Us Welcome. And the melody is going to change a little bit there. So make sure to give that some extra focus and attention for this weekend. So back up here to Planning Center. After we do this intro song, we'll stand everybody up, and then we'll do May the Peoples Praise You and House of the Lord back to back. And then we'll be in for welcome and greeting. Following welcome, we'll go straight in here to His Mercy is More and I Set My Hope. This is a newer one that we played pre-service a few weeks ago. And so we'll actually probably need to introduce it somehow. What we might do is introduce it in the same way that we introduced Christ Our Wisdom a couple of weeks ago. The way that Elizabeth set that up, that flowed really nicely, and I think helped people kind of get a feel for it. Chris and Sheila will touch bases this week and talk more about how we want to set up I Set My Hope. Okay, so coming out of I Set My Hope, what I'd like to do is something a little bit different. Holy, holy, holy. This is not going to include rhythm section or horns. This is just going to be piano, keys, very light keys, and vocals only. I want to have a section here where the congregation really gets to hear themselves sing. Because, just to get moderately philosophical here, the dominant aesthetic in musical worship should be the voice of the congregation. That should be the dominant aesthetic. That's the thing that you should hear above everything else. And really, everything that we do on stage, even our lead vocalists, our frontline singers, even what they're doing, they're there to support and facilitate the singing of the congregation. The rhythm section, the horn section, everybody is there to facilitate the singing of the congregation. So I wanted to have this moment where we allow the congregation to hear really clearly with a song that's familiar, their voice above everything else. How I have it set up right now is verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, light keys, vocals in harmony. Probably, I said vocals and keys only. I think what I'll probably have Elizabeth lead this one. Elizabeth has led this song a lot, so I'll have Elizabeth take the lead, and then Sheila and Chris can sing some harmonies around her. We'll do verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, and then come back and do verse 1 a cappella. That will end out the set. Now, do note, we typically do this in the key of A. I kicked it up to B flat so that we could have a nice seamless transition here between I Set My Hope and Holy, Holy, Holy. Okay, following that, we'll go into a bumper, into the message, and then come forward invitation this weekend. It'll just be Elizabeth and keys as Tom invites people to come forward, so it'll probably be a verse or two of that to close out the service. His word, last word, and then we're finished. All right, so let's talk about vocal rehearsal for how we're going to handle that this week. What I'd like to do is I'd like for everybody, for our three vocalists to plan to arrive on Sunday morning at 7 a.m. at our regular rehearsal time. We will take from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. and we will have kind of a shortened vocal rehearsal. And we'll really focus our energies kind of on the things, the newer things, the things that are going to be less familiar. We'll focus our energies there and get in some good work in that half an hour before the rest of the band arrives. Then the rest of the band, rhythm section, horns, you guys feel free. You guys can come in then at 7:30 a.m. and we will do a full rehearsal from 7:30 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. And in fact, I don't even think that we will need a projectionist at the 7 a.m. rehearsal. So projection, you can just plan to come from 7 to 7:30 because our vocalists, they'll be working off their iPads at that time. Just to make sure that they've got everything in line as far as their parts are concerned. So projection, rhythm section, horns, you guys come at 7:30 a.m. and we'll do a full team rehearsal from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing probably all of you at some point this week here serving at VBS and Fuel. And then, of course, we'll see you on Sunday morning for Father's Day and a great Sunday morning worship service. Take care, everybody.